What is on top of the deck? What is on top of the deck? Oh, it's Lightning Helix! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Welcome to Hunt the Week.
Hello everyone and welcome into the show. Welcome on in each and every one of you Eldrazi. Maybe you're a Scion, maybe you are just it that is heralding the end. Either way, I welcome all you colorless, devoid creatures into the show. This is Hunt the Week. It is a weekly Magic the Gathering podcast about the Arena Gauntlet Sealed League that we love, know, and play in. And this is Modern Horizons 3 Kickoff. We're kicking it off. We're getting started. We're doing it right. We are doing it early. I am your host with the most, your Don John DeMarco, your Goku or Go Home, the Pride of Mardu. And I am a 4-time top 8er, a 2-time league winner, and 1 time I did a couple Modern Horizon 3 drafts and didn't do great. And then I opened an Emrakul and I did okay. We're going to talk about it. We welcome everyone into the show. Come on in, get ready. This is a whole new crazy set. We got a lot to talk about. And frankly, I don't know where to begin because there are too many mechanics.
Too many mechanics, baby. Too many mechanics.
That's right, too many mechanics. It's throughout all of Magic's history, right? Every time I see a card, I'm like, oh, cool, this has Foretell. Oh, man, this has Extort. Oh, cool, that's got Bestow. Like, so it's a grab bag of all the mechanics of Magic's past. And there are so many of them, and they are so cool. I am loving each and every one of them. And there's just so many mechanics in this set. And I did pre-release this weekend, and if you get your pre-release box, they kind of list out what some of the mechanics are, but there's so many they couldn't put them all on the box. There was actually a QR code that you had to scan. You scan that QR code, takes you to Wizards' website that has a bunch of the mechanics in them. It's a very long list because there's so many different ones from different sets. But if you actually turn the volume up while you're on that website, you will get to hear a fun little Easter egg. I love it when they do these things. I say it every league. They do these. I think they're so cool. This is the song that plays in the background. There is a league that's starting up. It's Modern Horizons 3. As powerful as OTJ. But this has Eldrazi. My mother played some Is It and stacked her energy, but Jordan had his artifacts and won with synergy. Now the only thing a planeswalker needs is a spark, and then they flip. There's so much of Magic's history, so many old mechanics. Oh, mother, watch your graveyard, because I have some hate. Get ready for 6 weeks of Arena Gauntlet League that ends in a top 8. So cool that they spend so much time and effort just to throw it in like a background of a QR code on a pre-release box. So cool of Wizards to do that. I hope they don't stop. Keep doing what you do, Wizards. But this is Modern Horizons 3. Well, I don't got any standings to read out. We're in the kickoff show. No one's played any games yet, but pools have been rolled. I got my pool. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's great, but I definitely don't think it's bad. I got a lot of lands. Let's figure this out together. How many non-basic lands are in my deck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I've got 11 non-basics. 12 non-basics. That when we started out the last one, Outlaws at Thunder Junction, I was really bummed out when we started because I only had like 2 deserts and my fixing was terrible. Go back and listen to the show. I said it early. Said my fixing was real bad. I went to SNC to try to get fixing. This league, I'm starting out with fixing out the wazoo. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 landscapes and then a bunch of duels. Yeah, I got the fixing this time, and you better beware because I am playing some 4-color soup, and I am coming after each and every single one of you out there. Here's the thing. It's a new set. This is usually where I kind of give some advice, some tips, some tricks. I don't really have a lot. This set's too new. I've only done 3 drafts. Haven't been doing great in my drafts, but I do hear that red-green is kind of taken off, and there's this Writhing Chrysalis card, which has a better win rate than Bonnie Paul. So play that card. Play that card a lot. It's only a 4-mana 2/3, but I promise it does more than it looks. But this is a synergy set, right? That's what everyone's been saying. A synergy set, a popper, not a Prince format. It's going to be all about synergy and the color pairs. So let's see if we can't figure out what all the color pairs are trying to do. So these are the Modern Horizon 3 archetypes that we should be looking out for and what we should be trying to do there. You have, just to start off, we got some top commons, Glyph Elemental, top uncommons. Glyph Elemental, whenever a land enters the battlefield, you put a counter on it. It's also got Bestow, does the same thing. Signature Slam, 3-mana instant, 2 and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then each modified creature you control deals damage. It's a nice little bite spell. Ghostfire Slice, deals 4 to any target, burn someone out with that. Those are your top uncommons. Top commons, Galvanic Discharge, nice little lightning bolt. And then we have any of the landscapes. Landscapes are looking great. Fanged Flames. So we're seeing a lot of red in here. 3 pieces of red up here in top commons and uncommons. And white-blue, you have Energy Flyers. White-blue is trying to get a bunch of energy together. It is trying to use that energy to get some things, activated abilities done, and then it is trying to fly over your face. White-red is Energy Aggro. Same thing as before. Collect energy, use the energy, but turn your card sideways and get them dead. Blue-red, this is another energy. This is Prowess Energy. This may use energy the best, the blue-red. They have a lot of ways to take advantage of all the extra energy. Blue-red spells energy. Then you have red-green, Eldrazi Spawn, and this does seem to be like the archetype that I've noticed is really Eldrazi, and the best way to get Eldrazi is to be in green, and red definitely helps as well. You got that Writhing Chrysalis if you're in red-green, but yeah, red-green, Eldrazi Spawn seems like a great archetype. Blue-green, Eldrazi Ramp, so this is still Eldrazi, but you're tapping things for 2 colorless if you get the Snapping Void Claw. You've got Planner Genesis to grab lands. So basically this is more of a ramp deck. You also get the Scions, but maybe not as fast and beady as the Gruul deck. Green-white, Modified Bestow. So this is +1/+1 counters and Bestow synergy in white-green. Green-black, this is modified and adapting. Lots of adapt to put counters on things, which makes cards modified. And there's lots of cards that care about counters here. We're having modified creatures. Then white-black, modified death. Put counters on things, and then when they die, they do stuff. Or they just do stuff when they die and also just put some counters on things while you're at it, because why not? Red-black is artifacts. It's affinity. We've all seen that Cranial Ram going around, already banned in Pauper. Black-red is artifacts, artifacts, artifacts. Blue-black, draw 3. I haven't seen this come together yet, but man, once you start drawing 3 cards, you're already feeling good. So once you start putting like bonuses on top of drawing 3 cards, I just don't know. But yeah, that's blue-black. That's draw 3 cards. That's what they're trying to do. Modern Horizon League kicks off tomorrow, which is Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Build your deck, 60 cards. Do your practice matches. It helps. It really does. And try to think about what pack you're going to open. Oh, wait. You're opening Modern Horizons 3. That's the leak. That's the gimmick here. The gimmick is no gimmicks. It's Modern Horizons 3 all the time. We are only opening Modern Horizons 3 packs. When we Mega Draft, it'll be all Modern Horizons 3. The real mechanic here is that new and returning players that haven't played in the league this year, will get back their entry fee for the next one. So basically they get a free league if they play in this one. And boy, did it pay off, because it's the biggest league of all time. 128 players, 49 new or returning players, mostly new. I think it was 30 new and 19 returning. But this is a big one, the biggest one we've done yet. 128 players. What's that going to look like for prize support? What's that going to look like for the top 8? We'll figure it out as we go. But we have more to figure out, and I couldn't do it alone, so please join me this week as we annihilate entropy.
And you will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation.
That's right. This week I am annihilating entropy with none other than Jeremy E., a.k.a. Lord Goyf, for the best of the best. This guy comes on the show a lot. He's such a great guy. I can't say enough good things about Jeremy. Great sense of humor, smart, level-headed, great player. He's a vet. He's been around for a long time, and that's why I wanted to get him on. We have a lot of old returning mechanics, callbacks to old cards and old sets that maybe I don't understand. Maybe Jeremy does. Go ahead and listen to my interview with Jeremy right now. All right, everyone, join me as we annihilate entropy together this week with none other than Jeremy E., a.k.a. Lord Goyf. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, always a pleasure. Yeah, you're a long-time guest. You've been coming on since the early days. You've always been a fan. I love getting you on. I love talking Magic with you. I love everything. We're doing a roto right now where we're right next to each other. That's
right.
Been really fun.
Only some mild fighting.
Oh, very mild. Honestly, I don't know about you, but this roto, I didn't get too much stolen for there was maybe a handful, 3 or 4 cards that I was a little upset about, but I was never not the thing I was building towards, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, same. No, I love rotos, and it's been great running them recently with my partner in crime, Miranda. She's an awesome partner to run these things. So shout out, Miranda.
Shout out to Miranda, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the roto stuff later if we have time, because I'd love to know more about it. But we got to start off. Just last week we had on your Padawan, I guess we'll say.
Yeah, totally.
Chris O. And it was so great to have him on. I would love to know your perspective of it. How has the mentoring been? I actually just got my first mentor today. Sorry.
It's been great. So first off, what a great program. So I don't recall who started it, but I know it can be a bit rocky for newcomers. There's a lot of what's going on, and I haven't found my place. And I think they attrition out a lot easier. So I think it's great that we do this. You get a buddy right off the start, and you join in their streams, and anyway, so it's a great program. For Chris, what a rock star! I didn't play him in the league because I was hoping for a little, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader.
At the very end,
the student has become the master. But anyway, no, he rocked it. I helped him out a little bit with just logistics. We did a little bit of build comparison when the league first started, and did some play testing, and so that I think got him in the. Got the confidence up, got him going, but he's a great player. He didn't need much help. So I just kept checking in on him. He was rocking it. It's do you know you just beat Sawyer? Do you know how good he is? No. Yeah, well, he is. And I remember I set down the gauntlet for him at the beginning. I said, well, my rookie league, little spoiler, might be talking to Chris York about that soon.
Oh boy.
My rookie league, I went 21-9 in Zendikar League. So beat that, buddy. And then we goes 21-9.
Did he really? You went the same?
Yeah, 21-9. Same record.
My gosh, that's awesome. That's
our
so
old
cool.
days, 21-9 was number 1 in the Swiss there, but now it's what was he, second? I think. Anyway, amazing run. Amazing. So nice job, Chris. Shout out Padawan. Nice work. But now the gloves are off. I'm gonna have to bring you down.
If I meet you on the streets, I don't know you.
That's right.
Yeah, watch out for Chris in the Mega Draft. That's going to be happening this Saturday. I'm sure you're going to be rooting him on.
Definitely will.
I can't wait. There's so many good players in it, and so many new players. Like, oh, I'm so
Yeah,
excited
good
for everybody in
balance.
it. Yeah,
Definitely.
it's gonna be a good and fun packs. Like crazy stuff could happen. Like it's a mega draft for mega drafters, and it's gonna be
That's
oh,
right.
it's gonna be a good time.
Can't wait.
No, I can't wait either. But I also can't wait for Modern Horizons 3. We just got our pools about an hour and a half ago as we are recording. Have you been playing some Modern? I know you played in what, a two-headed giant over the weekend.
I did
So
indeed.
how,
Yeah, I'm liking it so far. I'm liking how it vibes. Initial impressions are it's not quite as much raw power as OTJ, which just had like power coming out its
yeah,
ears. But it's got all these crazy synergies in different directions. But like it's like anything you leave alone for 2, maybe 3 turns, and it explodes in like a
yeah.
shower of grossness. And so yeah, it goes pretty hard, pretty fast. My impression is green is the best color, but it's not nearly as clear cut as OTJ, where like we saw it on the spoiler and in the roto. People made the same determination that green was the best color, but it kind of dominated in OTJ right out of the gate. But here I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of different decks out there. Even if maybe it's coalescing into like big green Eldrazi,
Hmm.
kind of mid range counters kind of thing, and then aggro. So it's like kind of your classic meta of aggro mid range, and well, instead of control, we have Eldrazi nonsense. But
Oh, I'm sure there's an
um,
Eldrazi control deck out there. I'm
I'm sure,
sure.
I'm sure. But yeah, I love the two-headed giant too. So we had like really fun games.
Yeah.
We ended up 2-1, lost a close one, but yeah, I got to build a deck I had like 5 creatures in my deck, and that was all removal and counter spells. Something you could never do
Nice.
in a
Yeah,
regular
yeah.
limited environment. But in two-headed giant, it's like, yeah, I'll let my partner do all the stuff, and I'll just nope,
Yep.
kill that, and basically be that guy.
That sounds great though. I would love to be that guy. That sounds so
Yep,
fun.
exactly. Yeah, it was a good time. I always love two-headed giant because it's great way to hang out with a buddy, and
Yeah.
he doesn't play that much Magic, but he's still a good player, and it's a great way to spend some time and share the bad beats and the good beats likewise.
Two-headed giant's one of those formats that's so fun to play, and you don't get a ton of opportunities to do it. Like it's really pre-releases and like GPs or whatever those are these days.
Yeah,
Like it's so fun, but it's like it's we can't even do it in league if we wanted to. Like it's one of those odd formats. It's like, oh, it's so unique and so special almost because it's I don't know, it's so rare to play, and it's such a fun time.
yeah, totally is. It's I won't go into yet another story here, but my fondest memories are playing team trios on the pro tour and all over the place, and just playing with your buddies, team Magic. It doesn't get any better. Two
Oh,
of the Giants, another continuation of that.
I'm enjoying Modern Horizons 3. I am still learning what everything does because there's just so much.
Totally. There's so much text
There's so
and
much
100
going
abilities.
on. There's so many
Yeah.
cards that like I'm seeing now outside of Roto and being like, oh, that card doesn't do what I thought it did. I
Yeah.
read that card wrong.
Oh
Um,
man, I think this might be if we look back on if we do a series of rotos because we've done a few in a row now, this might be the one with the most mistakes. I think.
oh
Like
yeah, there's cards.
OTJ wasn't too far off, other than maybe white was better than we thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with green. But this one is just like I look back at my deck like, oh my goodness, what?
Oh, my deck's terrible. It's
Seeing
not
all
good.
these late like awesome green commons going like
Yeah, we
30,
messed up so
whatever.
bad on green in our pod. We messed up green so bad.
Yes, we did. It's a hard set to evaluate though because it's got so much of the stuff is synergy based, so it's not
Yeah.
a powerful card in a vacuum, but its surroundings, it takes off and goes nuts.
My fun moment that I've had so far while playing Modern Horizons is I was crushing somebody. I was way ahead. I was beating them down. They weren't really doing anything. They played the enchantment that's like if you play a spell 4, 5, 6, you make 2 scions. If you play a spell 7 or greater, draw 3 cards. It's like, that's fine. I'm beating you down. I don't care. They then cast the enchantment. It's like
Double
5 or
everything.
6 mana. No, the one that's whenever you cast a spell 7 or greater, discover X, where X is that
Oh, yeah.
card's mana value. And I was like, that's fine. They're playing enchantments. I'm beating them down. They're at 3. They play an 8-drop, which cascades into a 7-drop, which cascades into a 6-drop. It draws them 9 cards or something. Like their board fills up. And I was just like, oh, I just lost this game. I can't do anything
you're
now.
having your little Ewok party, and all of a sudden the Death Star shows up. Right?
Yeah, it's like all my little 2-2s and 3-3s. It's like 9-9, 9-6, 9-6, 6-6. Ooh, yes, you got to pay attention in this format.
Yeah, it's like it throws out your notion of like stuff that's too expensive to play in limited Magic. You got to throw all that out the window.
I played in the Innistrad sets with Eldrazi, but I didn't play in like the original Eldrazi sets. And this is my first time really playing with a lot of Eldrazi in like a big fun Eldrazi kind of way, and it's a good time.
Yeah, it was. I played in those old sets too, but it was before Arena, so I only played a little bit, like pre-releases. And if my memory serves, the Eldrazi weren't as well supported. Like there wasn't as much stuff that made spawns.
Yeah,
and now they're all over the place. Like,
oh my god! Every card makes a spawn. The spawns make spawns, and then you get the cards that evolve your spawn. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, if you don't have trample or evasion, like forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're giant, like 8/8 or whatever on the ground. Like jump with the spawn.
Oh boy, get ready for one of those leagues. Totally. I couldn't get past 5 spawns.
Green soup could be.
Well, Jeremy, you are a tenured Magic player, tenured not only on the server but IRL in real life. Always come with a wonderful story from your history of playing Magic, and I'd love to hear one of your stories, Jeremy, if you got.
All right. I got one. Now, I'm not 100% sure I didn't tell some version of this on the pod before, but I thought it was thematically appropriate because it's the origin of my love of Lurgoyfs, which is very, it's right in theme with MH3, right? So I thought I'd dig into the history books. So, picture it, Sicily, 1929. That's Golden Girls reference for anybody who's listening. Anyway, so it was 1997. Starting in the summer, they printed a card called Buried Alive, which is in Modern Horizons 3. So a little tie in there as well.
Yes. And
reading the Magic Dojo, the preeminent Magic site of 1997, the only Magic site pretty much, 1997, because nobody was on the internet back then, showed me this deck, which was Buried Alive, to get these cards called Ashen Ghouls and Nether Shadows into your graveyard. And they're cards that cared about graveyard order and came back if you had enough creatures on top of them or whatever.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'll try. That sounds fun. And then I loved it. I fell in love. It's like using graveyard as a resource. I hadn't really done that before. I mean, I'd only been playing for maybe a year or so by then. Mm-hmm. And so I loved it. And so fast forward to when Tempest comes out, they print a card called Living Death. And I'm already, big on graveyard cards. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, Living Death, I got to make this work. So I'm playing all this garbage, self-mill, put stuff in my graveyard, and cast Living Death and win. And this is back when, everybody's playing a homebrew. No one's got a net deck and constructed.
Yeah.
And so you could just surprise them. They're like, I don't know, I'll play a bunch of dumb bears that are bad. I'm like, okay, chomp, 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 Living Death. Bring my whole graveyard back. And like, what? And so metagames moved very slowly back then. And it was a good time. Then let's see. Next set was Stronghold. That was winter of 98. I can't remember. I believe I remember all this. Introduced cards like Spike Feeder and Wall of Blossoms. So I switched from a black-based deck to a green-based deck, but still doing graveyard stuff. Still got the Living Death on there. And then in Exodus, the summer of 98, they introduced Survival of the Fittest, which you've probably heard of. It was a powerhouse right away. It took a while to get banned, but eventually it got banned, of course. And then it's like, okay, it's time to. I'm putting so much stuff in the yard. I got to find a big finisher to do, and that's about if I remember right, when I introduced the OG Lurgoyf from Ice Age. It's like, well, my graveyard is full of all this stuff. I'm milling myself with Hermit Druids, Survival of the Fittest, all this nonsense. We need a big finisher. And we didn't have a lot of options for good creatures back then. Not like you kids get today, where you have 7 5s for 5 and it's just draft fodder.
Yeah, I don't even care.
That's a stupid thing. Anyway, so bring in the Lurgoyfs. At some point, I think I had Fling in the deck. People probably remember Fling from the last couple of sets. Flinging giant 30 power Lurgoyfs at people's heads. And it was such a good time. And that run of sets and graveyard decks backed by Mr. Lurgoyf got me up to number 2 in Canada in Constructed, constructed
Wow.
rating. And that got me into Canadian
Constructed.
Nationals on rating. And so, yeah, it sounded like a big, goofy Timmy deck, but it was actually like beating the crap out of people in the local Toronto scene at good old 401 games, as they call it now. Had a different
That's
name.
awesome. Hey, congrats, Jeremy. I love it. I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
so the Lurgoyfs are strong from that early days. Let's see, what is that? 27 years ago. Good Lord, I'm old.
I love that it's not only the Lorgoy, but it's the Living Death
That's
origin
right.
story
Yeah.
at the same time. Like, oh,
That's
it's a
right. You
twofer.
get both. Yeah. And so ever since. So I'm going to try to make that Diesel work, even though it's some dumb commander card that they throw into packs randomly. I don't love that, but I do love the Lurgoyf. So let that one slide.
Yeah, I know. Are you? Are you a commander guy at all? You're going to buy that Lorgoyf deck? That
I pre-ordered it. We
yeah.
play at work because our Magic group at work has gotten small enough we can't reliably draft. Although there is a Shield league that goes on that I participate in, and
Nice.
we don't have enough for drafts, so we often do Commander. And yeah, I don't mind it. It's not my favorite way to play, but
Sure.
Hanging out with friends and playing Magic,
Gets the job
of
done.
course, I'm always like the arch enemy in the games because I've got a reputation. Oh, Jeremy, that guy, let's get him. And so, I got to use my politicking. Like, well, all my stuff's dead. It's okay to go that way now. Build up again. And anyway, that's the fun aspect of Commander is the politics.
Oh, I love it. I love politics and Commander. I could talk about it forever. It's my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, totally. It's you get to learn a lot about people and how to sway them.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, no, you don't want to come after me, or hey, you do that, I'll help you out. Like what do you
right.
want?
That's right.
Let's make a deal here. Let's scratch each other's backs a little bit.
And if you ever get backstabbed, you have to kill them in like the next 5 straight games.
Yeah.
Like, never forget.
Yeah.
Algar always pays his debts.
Well, Jeremy, we asked the league for questions, and they never disappoint. We got some really good ones for you. Our first one is coming from Richard K, aka Preacher. Herbivore or carnivore?
Well, as an old dino, I was definitely on the carnivore side in my younger days, and then age starts catching up with you. And it was actually right before the pandemic started. Our whole house switched to be vegetarian.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we even went almost vegan for a little bit. Now we've backslid a little since then, as often happens. Especially in a house with 4 kids, like we're never going to force them to be vegetarian.
Sure.
I know some people do that, but teach their own. But for us, it's like, we want kids to explore and experience vegetarian food, but not be forced into it and then have the inevitable backlash when they grow older. So now we've kind of incorporated, like, once in a while we'll have chicken, and maybe once a month we'll have salmon, but otherwise we're still vegetarian. So I guess that makes me an omnivore.
Omnivore, but leaning herbivore. I would say.
That's right. Yeah.
That's very cool. I didn't know that, Jeremy. Vegetarian.
I never would have guessed if when I, 20 years ago from these Magic stories, when I felt like I never saw a vegetable, all these Magic tournaments. And if you told, that Jeremy, like, oh yeah, when you're an old guy, you're going to be a vegetarian pretty much. Like, no, that's impossible. There's no way.
Hey, we change, right?
It comes to you all, listeners.
Lotta, aka the Sleuth, would love to know. Top 3 lore goys. What are your 3 favorite goys in the game?
I love this question. I'm going to be an old curmudgeon and go with the classics, even though they are strictly worse. Like, there's no way Lurgoyf should get played in any sort of Magic deck other than, like, I don't know, like one of those limited events where you have to, like, play a whole booster.
Sure.
And not look at it. Like, if you're forced to play with it. But Lurgoyf is still number 1, near and dear to my heart. I've got an honorary Lurgoyf next, who's not even a real Lurgoyf, which is Revenant, which is a flying self-Lurgoyf that came out in Stronghold. I remember being so stoked because, you don't know much about a set. Spoilers were kind of rare back then in the 90s. And Revenant comes out as the pre-release card. That's when they first started doing pre-release foils, was Tempest and Stronghold. And it's Revenant, and the flavor text is "Not Again, Hans," which is a throwback, of course, to Lurgoyf, and immediately fell in love. It's like, oh, Hans from the original Lurgoyf flavor text. Akon's run is Lurgoyf. It's like, there it is again with Revenant, and then finally Mortivore. So this is kind of the order I played them. I played Lurgoyf, I played a little bit of Revenant, even though it wasn't very good, and then Mortivore, which was like Lurgoyf, but it regenerates in black. And I played that a little bit. And all these new ones, even I still think of Tarmogoyf as, that's new Lurgoyf, even though it's 15 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to go with the old school.
I love it. Even Tarmogoyf is it's
too new school.
Too new. He doesn't like it. I played Ryan D, the Slickness, today in a Roto game, and on turn 1 he played a Goyf against me, an 0-1 Goyf that just sat there for 2 turns and didn't do anything. And I was like, oh, well, I guess Goyfs don't really do the same thing in limited, you know?
No, unfortunately. Sad but true.
Black Canary, the Great Watcher, would love to know, what's the worst you've ever seen someone ever mess up the spelling of Lurgoyf? I had to double check a few times, actually, when I posted your name the other day.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky one, and there's been some horrendous ones over the years, so I love the question. I think the best I got was something like, because I think it might have come down with like a meddling mage, and they like wrote it on a slip of paper. So
Okay.
actually, because often they just kind of see it and they mispronounce it, but rarely you get to see them spell it. Although online you do. And I think it was something like LORRG off, like Lorgoff or something like that. And I think back then they actually held you to that. It's like, well, Lorgoff's not a card, so you're meddling mage.
Oh, really? Oh.
And now they're of course more lenient. They're soft these days, John.
I did that once. Yeah. I was playing in a tournament. I was like, I named a Johnny with something. And they're like, which one? I was like, I don't know. It's the one from this set. Like, I named the specific set it was in and like described it. I was like, that's the one I mean. Like, there was like 4 Johnnies in standard at the time or something.
Yeah, you just like, do little charades or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, I mean this one that does this thing. He makes the cats, he kills enchantments or whatever. You're like, that's the one. That's the one I'm naming with my thing.
The one where he's looking up into the sun. You know that one.
The one where he's shirtless and is having some kind of axe in his hand. That's the one.
I think that's all of them,
yeah. Sounds like they messed up that one pretty bad though.
It's a hard one. I spell it right all the time now, but when I was first playing it, I think it was for tournament reports. I was typing like, let me make sure I don't misspell that. That would be embarrassing. So yeah, it's a weird one. The LH is like a Apolapso or something like
that. It's the YF that got me. I wasn't sure if it was YF or FY, which now that I say that makes no sense. It's not a Goyfy. But when I was typing it out, I was like, this just doesn't look right. I don't know. Something about it.
Sounds like you got something in your throat, like Lurgoyf.
Caleb G, why not? Great question. What would you like to see make a comeback from the olden days of Magic? What's something you miss, Jeremy? You miss Ante? Do you miss Mana Burn? Do you miss Block Constructed?
Pretty good. That was pretty good. So I think this is maybe going to be a little bit, a little more old man yells at cloud, but and honestly, it's not even fair because I don't know the paths that well because I don't play paper that much, but I wish that, all the various paths to the Pro Tour just felt a lot better back then. Like it was very clear, like, hey, he's playing a PTQ. You have these big Grand Prix, which I guess we don't even really have anymore. Although there's some that are like sponsored by third parties.
Yeah, well, they also have Magic Fest now, which I don't.
Those sound like fun events, and I no shade at Magic Fest, but it's like sounds like a fun time to hang out. But like this like very clear path to the Pro Tour. There used to be limited Pro Tours was another one.
Yeah.
Where all you do is like my first Pro Tour, Arcadian Mass Limited. It was draft all day long, and day 2 draft, top 8 draft, and especially our community on AGL. It's like, man, would that ever be sweet? We have the Arena Open that's probably the closest, but like it doesn't go to a Pro Tour that's limited. Like I wish you could just limited all the way.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like qualifying for whatever the next thing is. Then it's like, oh yeah, it's timeless, historic, and like, oh well, I don't know how to play that. Like,
because in my day they alternated Pro Tours that were all limited and Pro Tours that were all constructed, and the only time they mixed limited and constructed was nationals, so the national championships for each country,
which makes sense,
and worlds. And like totally agree, like, or I guess like invitational as well. And it was like, okay, that's where the best of the best show. They're multi-format experts. Yes. Totally makes sense. But I would love, like, why not just alternate like Pro Tour formats and at least have, you do all that, you play all this on Arena that heads into the Arena Championship thing, which heads into a Pro Tour that's just limited.
I have no idea how you make a Pro Tour. Although I will say, I had a little birdie tell me that just this week, that Chris D Stereo Lab, other Chris, who I believe is mega drafting, qualified for the Tour at a Dallas RC this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's an RC? What's an RC?
Regional championship.
Regional champion. Okay, cool. Yeah, congratulations, Chris. If this is true,
Chris.
And if it's not, I'm sorry, but yeah, way to go, Chris. Super awesome. Another Pro Touring player in the AGL.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, so he looks like he made it at a regional thing, which maybe he was invited to, or I don't know how it works. I know there's some arena stuff.
And again, I hesitate to go too hard on this because like I don't really play paper anymore.
Yeah, sure.
I do pre-releases, and so like even if it was super clear, I probably just wouldn't know about it. But the vibe online seems to be it's confusing at the very least, and like there aren't enough paths of like for local wannabe Pro Tour player to get to the Pro Tour. Like it's great we get to play on arena, but it feels like almost a dead end. It's like to go from arena into a qualifier, it's like what, thousands to one, whatever.
Yeah, and who knows? It's like, and like the people that do it have like 10 different accounts, and they're trying again and again and again, or whatever.
The PTQI my very first Pro Tour, the PTQI one had 60 people at it, so like not that many. It's like you just gotta be better than 59 people, and it was fun. And
I can do that.
Exactly.
I can be better than 59 people. Yeah, I just say 2,000 people. It's like, oh. Is Jordan one of them?
And maybe it's just that it's a different age. Like I feel like that sold packs. It sold like people would get into it. But now you have so many ways to play for free. It's like, well, why should I leave my house?
That's true. But it's like same thing though. Like I miss the GPs where it's like every weekend there was like at least 2 GPs going on. One somewhere in America, one somewhere else in the world. And there'd be like different formats you could watch. That's back when like I cared about standard and like I got into modern, I'm watching all these different formats and learning like what makes them different and what looks fun and what looks cool.
Totally agree.
And that's how I started going to GPs. I've went to GPs. I played mostly for side events now, but back when I first got into Magic, I played a mono red deck wins deck in some GP in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and nice. Got squashed. But it was great. It was super fun.
I miss Grand Prix, and some of it, like a lot of nostalgia is missing, like the person you were back then, not just the stuff around it. But I'm with you. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
a lost time. I have to throw in one more snarky answer to Caleb's question, which is damage on the stack is the only true Magic. Bring it back.
Oh, jeez.
Not actually.
Oh man. You told a story the other day that you were around when Auntie was around. What was that like? I can't even like comprehend it. So like, did you randomly pick a card before you start and you're like, hey, whoever wins just gets to keep this?
So the history there. So I started Magic and Revised. Right when Fallen Empires came out, and by the time I started, they'd actually already, at least for tournaments, had stopped doing Ante. They quickly realized they were going to run afoul of gambling laws to have tournaments with Ante, because you're essentially gambling each round. And it's a little over the line. They even had a card like all these insane cards with Ante, and so really I didn't play very much with Ante. I did with one tournament, which is. I'll do the condensed version.
Yes, we'll get the quick one.
Is we went to play in a sealed tournament at a comic book store, but we got the time wrong. And so we showed up, it had already started. And like, oh, crud, we really wanted to play Magic Day. It was a group of like 8-10 of us, something like that from university. And like, well, why don't we buy a box? I've heard about this thing called Booster Draft. That sounds fun to try. And none of us had ever done it because it was new. It was 1996. And so we brought it back and decided, let's spice it up and play for Ante too. Because most of us hadn't played for Ante because, it was really just this brief period at like the first year maybe of Magic's life that Ante was a thing. But I think the lawyers squashed it pretty quick, along with all the demonic imagery, or they, were causing the satanic panic in certain areas. Ante's basically cut to a random card, flip it up. It's not your deck. Winner gets both and can add them to their deck afterwards, which was fun for
add them to the deck. Yeah, that's fun. Jeez. Oh, I accidentally beat you, and I get to take your dream trawler now. Oh,
Right.
what
Yeah.
a shame!
I had my icy manipulator up one round, which was like the dream trawler of 1996. Like I could tap something every turn. I'm so
Oh.
good.
Our next question comes from Ryan M. Rern. Ryan, congrats on winning the zombie tournament.
Yeah.
Tournament winner Ryan M. What is your favorite old school callback or reference for Modern Horizons 3? Looking back at a lot of Magic's history here.
Oh man, there's some good ones for sure. I think my favorite's got to be the one you expect Lurgoyf online to name, which is Disa.
Mm-hmm.
She makes Lurgoyfs, but like she is like how deep the deep cuts they went on this set. Like Disa was never remotely a card before. It was just like on maybe I think it was like 10 or so Ice Age block cards. It was like a journal of like a wildlife explorer said like, oh, these goblins are weird, these are the restless. And so like it's hardly anyone would mention other than like the really hardcore Vorthoses. In fact, it had been long enough I had forgotten, and I had to like, where do I know that? And then I found out. And so I love that as a callback. A few other favorites. I like Psychic Frog.
Yeah.
Even though I really didn't like the Psychotog deck of around 2002. So that's really fun. And there's just so many in there. Like the Mog, what is that thing? Mog something or other, the triple Mog fanatic.
Oh, the triple Mog. And there's also the Siege Gang. I love the Siege Gang commander.
Yeah, exactly.
Callback.
So like, I love they're not even trying to be accessible to new players. This is not the Drifter, new player set. This is the fan service set. So let's throw in those callbacks, but not in like a cheesy way. It feels like it's a labor of love. So I like that aspect for sure.
Our next question from Ryan D. The Slickness. What's an old card you or the community once thought was incredible and now pales to today's standards? What is your go-to?
I'm gonna give what immediately jumped to mind. Because to me, this is like the classic example of what used to be like I think there was like 20 of them in the top 8 of the first Pro Tour, and it's Urnham Djinn. It's a card, originally Arabian Nights, but got reprinted in, I want to say Chronicles, when they reprinted a bunch of stuff and made everybody mad. Everyone's always mad at Wizards for some reason. So Urnham Djinn, 4/5 for 4. During your upkeep, you have to give one of your opponent's creatures Force Walk until your next turn. So it's a 4/5 for 4 with no other upside and a drawback. And back then, that was just so much better than the rate for creatures that people were just like, yep, all of that. There's a deck called Ernageddon that would ramp out Urnham Djinn with like elves and stuff and play Armageddon. Just like it says on the tin. It's like, play some big thing, Armageddon the lands away so the control decks can't get back and just beat down with good old Ernie. And then it got reprinted again, I want to say, in like Judgment, if I'm remembering right. And even by then, it wasn't nearly good enough for Constructed, but it was still a pretty good limited powerhouse. And now, like, look at the stuff in MH3 to compare to poor old Urnham Djinn. And yeah, I don't think he even makes the cut. Like a 4/5 for 4 with a drawback. Like, nope, no, thank you. And so yeah, it's. I even have another Urnham Djinn story, but I'll save that for. I'll save that for a future visit.
For Urnham Djinn Day, we'll get you on.
Yeah, keep it in the tank. But yeah, and I think it's an anagram of Herman, the Urnham Djinn, because it was like a friend of Richard Garfield or something. Because all the early cards were like the artists were relatives, all the anagrams of various family or whatever friends.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Urnham Djinn.
Our next question. Our next question comes from Raphael F. Prudent. If you were the sole league committee member and could do anything you wanted for a league with a future set, what is something you would like to explore or return to? What's your league design?
I don't want to raise too much rabble. I'm not in the like creative league design front, like our awesome LC currently. They come up with bangers back to back. I'm impressed by all the cool stuff they come up with. But in terms of the tournament structure thing, so one, this has been top of mind on the league committee and whatever channels is some way of trying out an async top 8 of some form. Like basically, scheduling mega draft sucks. I know the spectacle is great, and so we would be giving something up, especially for awesome casters like yourself who often take the mic. But I really would love us to grow as like an international league. And even for other folks, like I think maybe it was Bob, and certainly I feel this too, where like a 4-hour chunk of time is just often really hard to come by. And so I'd love to at least experiment, not necessarily say like just ditch the mega draft, but at least say like, hey, mega draft, not a sacred cow. We could try other things. It could even be a mega draft broken up into 3 chunks. It could be, different events. There's this new 2-person sealed thing that I think Evan suggested. That sounds kind of neat. It's 2-person draft thing.
Okay.
And so I'd love to maybe start in a side event like the zombie leagues, which seem to be popular. Like, why don't we try, instead of a zombie league mega draft, try something to maybe move the state of the art forward and be as inclusive as we can to everyone who makes top 8 gets the top 8. Doesn't matter what the schedules are like, within reason. If you make top 8 and then you leave for a month into the Himalayas, then yeah, you probably don't get to play. But I just love to include more people there. The other one, it's a little more dramatic, is this was just a wild idea I had before, and I think it came up, I'm not as confident in this one, but just to throw it out there, is after 4 weeks of a 6-week league, you do a cut to day 2 sort of thing. And from week 5 onward, you're in some sort of like assigned pairings thing.
Okay.
To avoid the like crunch of, finding matches in week 6.
Yeah.
And this might not be feasible, but this is something I'd love. And again, an experimental league, maybe like a 3-week league. We could do like 2 normal weeks and then a cut for week 3 with assigned pairings. And, you got to get your match in a certain time. And
sure.
Sort of like we had with decathlon, I think, where it's like, you have a tree that moves in async time, but you gotta, only have so long to get your match in, kind of thing. I'd love to try something like that just to see how it feels. Maybe it's one of those things we tried and it fails and falls on its face. But I'd love to be more experimental with league structure, I guess, is my high level meta feedback.
And the Zombie League is a great place to do it. It's
exactly.
New, it's evolving. Maybe you don't do mega drafts in Zombie League, and that way mega drafts are a special regular league event. Maybe you figure out something different. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it's worth a shot. And then you hate to see people like we had in this last situation where people can't make the mega draft. It's not easy to be the best, and then to be the best and not be able to try and take it all the way. It's just disappointing. No one wants that.
100%.
Well, Jeremy, before we let you go, I want to know, have you looked at your pool yet? Have you checked out your pool at all?
Very briefly. I only got home not too long ago before this started, but I took a quick look. It looks solid. It is very deep green, which I love. So it's a good base for a deck, especially in modern Magic, especially modern AGL, where it's like going into week 4 or whatever, you better be base green if you want to play all your bombs.
Yep. Seems like a standard thing to do these days.
Yeah, but it looked solid. No out and out crazy bombs, but it had a couple Sylvan safekeepers and a few other Eldrazi going on. I like the safekeeper as a, with all this pretty efficient removal flying around, it's a nice option to have. And it's also an old throwback card of winner of Pro Tour 2, Ole Rada.
Ooh, look at that. More facts from Jeremy. I built your deck. I love it. I think it looks great, actually. Your green looks like phenomenal. I love it. You got real fun Eldrazi stuff. You're going to have a good time.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always love having you on. You're one of the best, man. What can I say?
It's a pleasure, John. I love being on. I love your podcast, and I'll be happy to come back whenever you need me. It's like Johnny Carson, who keeps bringing back the same guests. And
you're a go-to. Good luck in Modern Horizons 3 League, and
likewise.
I'll see you out there.
Thanks, John.
Again, love talking to Jeremy. Jeremy could come on every week, and I would never get tired of it. He's such a nice guy. I got to do the Roto Draft right next to him. We never got to more Roto Draft questions. We ran out of time. But yeah, again, Jeremy is so cool, so awesome. And again, such a great player. I love hearing his stories of the olden days. So cool to hear about where the names Living Death and Lord Goyf come from. I mean, I've known Jeremy for years at this point. I don't know where these come from. It's so cool. I love learning about all the people in the league and just kind of getting a glimpse inside of who they are. It makes it so that we're not just computer screens playing against each other or pictures typing namelessly, facelessly on a Discord server. We're people. And Jeremy Lorgoyf he's a good Magic player, and he's been doing it a long time. I hope you're ready for Modern Horizons 3. I don't know if I am. I probably should start playing some practice games. I got to figure out what I'm doing. I got to talk to my mentee. I'm a mentor this time. I'm a vet. I got a rookie. I got to talk to him. I got to get him on the same page. I want me and him to take this thing down. Boom, 1 and 2. First place, second place. That's how it's going to be. But yeah, get ready. There's a lot to do. Build your decks. If you don't like it or you don't know what you're doing, post it in Deck Clinic. If you still don't know what you're doing, come to Cody's super secret server. We got super secret deck clinics over there too. We got our own pages where we can, post our decks and talk about builds. Come on over. Come on down. It's a good time. Until then, I hope you get to keep a good 7 because, boy, this is a powerful set. There's so much going on. There's so much synergy in these colors and in these cards, and it's so hard to get it going right. I hope you can pull it together. I hope you can find the pieces of the puzzle to make it all happen. And I hope the Shuffler is in your favor. Because if it's not, it's going to be a long 6 weeks. We're just getting started. We got so many games to play. And I just hope that you need the luck. You really do. We all need some of that luck this league. We can't all finish first, but maybe if we try, I don't know, maybe we all tie in the middle somehow. I don't really know how that works, but it might be possible. Until then, I'll see everyone here next week for week 1 of Modern Horizons 3.